Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And we got ourselves a Mailbag podcast talking about the Giants who have won three straight victories. 3 straight victories for the New York Giants. Justin, how you doing?
Bobby Skinner, I can't even remember the last time that I was coming to you from my home. I feel like it's been a minute. I've been in the office. I've been in the warehouse. We've been doing stuff. But we got a mailbag for you. And I kind of like that the opening line, again, for this Saints game is -6 again. That's too big. The Giants will at least cover, and they won last week. So vibes are good. Yes. The Giants are in the playoffs until they're not. That's been my line.
That is a big spread against the Saints, who are not good. And I saw a rant earlier from a Saints fan just like going off on Derek Carr and his family, which was kind of funny. But that's for the preview pod tomorrow that we'll get into all of that. DeVito mania is getting bigger and bigger. So we'll get into that. First, before we get into this mailbag, Justin, this episode was brought to you by Austin Westrom. He's not Eastrom, he's Westrom. Angelo Di Giuseppe. He's a pizza person. We should maybe change from pizza person to Tommy DeVito fan. But we're all Tommy DeVito fans now. Annalie Twightman. Won't you keep Annalie? You know, that's the song I sang karaoke at in Alabama.
Yes.
Take a load off, Annie.
Beautiful.
Take a load for free. Jared Bierman. He's not a whiskey man. He's a beerman. He's kind of like me. Travis Zaidul. He's gonna Zaidul you. TCB. Trailer Car Boys. Mark McGowan. He's not leaving. He's McGowan. Ed Wines. Ironically, Ed doesn't whine very much. And then Ryan Finkel. Whoa. Einhorn is Finkel? Justin, who are these people?
Whoa, a lot of people, a lot of pizza people, and Bobby really did go all out on that karaoke song. I don't hear it in my nightmares. Patreon.com/TalkGiants, $2 a month plus some other tiers. You get to hang out with us live while we record the shows. Hey, Patreon members, we've been celebrating Victory Monday. We even celebrated a Victory Tuesday this past week. Bobby Skinner will send you some stickers in the mail. And also, there's some shirts. There's some shirt raffles. People, Bobby, I'll tell you what. I'm in the office. I talk to the salespeople, the numbers people, whatever, or the merch people. I think we've sold over 125 Tommy DeVito, like Tommy Cutlet shirts.
That's good. She get a bonus.
Is good. Which is really good. That's like the only shirt that we've put out this year. That's really Giants related and not like Talking Giants related, and it's sold like crack in the eights.
Well, what else would we make a shirt for? Daniel Jones tearing his ACL. Maybe we should just do a still shot of like the field goal being blocked and like put like the background of like Vietnam.
Nope.
Just that would be that would be just like, hey, remember that? Remember when the whole season got fucked on the first drive of the year?
Memories. Memories. Take it away, Steve.
Nope. Take it away, Steve.
Mail time. The mail's here. Come on. Bye, guys. Here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Thanks, Steve from Blues Clues. Justin, let's get into the mail.
Curtis Johnson at Curtis with 3 S and 2 underscores. At this stage of the season, has your stance on Tommy's starting changed? Originally, I wanted Tyrod back, but I think Dable is right and he's earned the right to play.
Yeah, it has for me. I mean, he played good versus the Packers, right? Like, I don't look at the Commanders game, even though they put up points and there were some big plays, and say that's good quarterback play. I don't. Like, I really don't. I view that as bad quarterback play, and Scheme was able to get some big plays out of it.
And bad defense.
The Patriots, that god-awful defense. And then the Patriots, they scored 10 points off of turnovers. This game, like, he just actually played good. So, yes, I am taking Tommy DeVito more seriously, where last week on this mailbag pod, I was sitting here like, hey, Tyrod Taylor, to me, should absolutely be the starter, right? And I talked about, hey, he's 41st out of 41 QBs in EPA per play, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not, like, declaring him like, hey, this guy is it, right? This guy should absolutely be the backup. There's still a lot of ways to go till I'm at that point. But yeah, I'm down with him starting. And I think we got to stop treating him like a meme a little bit too. Like, and he's starting to get a little worn down from it. Like the press conference, the media availability he had on Wednesday was just like over the top. Like Tom Rock, who's like on a roll with bad questions, is asking him, you think this would be a big deal if it was anywhere else? Like, he's like, well, you're from here, right? He's like, well, I'm from the area. So, he's like, so no, I guess. He's like, yeah, but like, will this be happening if you were doing this for the Bears? It's like, what are you trying to say?
Well, I'm not. I'm here. I'm doing it right now.
He's like, I guess we'll never know. And then asking him, like, is your dad proud of you? Like, yes, my father is proud of you. You don't need to ask me that. How about we'll just watch the fucking game?
Yeah, I'm a starting quarterback in the NFL, and I've won.
Now he feeds into it, and maybe here's the thing, though. I feel like it could be his family feeding into it more than him. But so he's taking advantage.
But it's his family. Of course, they should be proud of him, and they should sell it. Yeah. And it's like you don't know when this is going to end. Especially for Tommy DeVito.
But I think he's at a point now where it's like I'm over the when is this going to end? And I'm like I just want to play quarterback.
Yeah.
But he also brought this apart and stuff because he does obviously lean into it, do the celebration, all that shit.
Right. Hey, but everybody has. I mean, a lot of guys have celebrations. It's just that his celebration connects with a lot of people that live in this area and a lot of people that are around the country, around the world. So that's why it connects with people. But yeah, he's earned the point to be like, yeah, I'm a quarterback right now, and I am the Giants quarterback. While I still think Tyrod Taylor is like a better quarterback,
he is.
Tyrod Taylor has Tommy DeVito has earned the right to start for the 2023 Giants and where they are right now. The Packer game, I think, kind of sealed it for me. Because, Bobby, you got to think of it like this,
he played good quarterback in the Packers game. Like I don't think he played good quarterback in the other games. Like that's where I'm like, okay. Because up until this Packers game, I had not seen a game where I'm like, this is good quarterback play.
But just think of how the season has gone, right? And even with Tyrod, it's like the offense is still not good, and obviously I think how the season has gone, the offensive line has taken a trajectory upward as well. The more that they play together, the more time Evan Neal misses, and the more time that Andrew Thomas is back. I think the line has gotten better, which I think has helped the quarterback play get better as well. But just think of how the Marcus McKeithen
JMS
not in
back.
there. JMS, Josh Azudu not in there either. Mark Lewinsky not seeing the field as much as he was early in the year. So all those things very much do matter. But just think of the 2023 Giants and how it's gone. Even if they've won under Tommy DeVito, and even if it's nasty, and even if the quarterback play isn't great like it was in Washington, they still put up over 30 points, and they flat out they weren't doing that with any other quarterback not named Tommy DeVito. And remember this, Bobby, that Buffalo mistake that Tyrod Taylor made costed them the game. It costed them that game. Tommy DeVito has taken a lot of sacks, which I guess you could say is a QB making mistakes, but you have not seen Tommy DeVito make those like mistakes or fumbles or interceptions or things that would make the conventional fan like really, really mad. So that Buffalo game was a tough pill to swallow for Tyrod Taylor, but just think of how the 2023 Giants season has gone. It's very unconventional, and it has been a bad season. Tommy DeVito has been the most stable part of it in a way.
Yeah, and where I feel like I've been wrong is like I kind of didn't give him the benefit of the doubt to get better, right? And he's gotten better in every game that he's played. And the Packers game was like good, right? Like, there's obviously, again, there's still areas of like huge improvement, obviously, right? But like they were able to work some quick stuff versus because the Packers were playing so far off, like little hitches and speed outs and stuff like that, But this game going through the film, he really didn't miss like, oh my God, this guy's wide open, throw the damn ball. Like a couple mistakes, right? Like on a third down, he throws the shallow to Jalen Hyatt because that's where they want to get, and Bellinger's open for the sit route, but it's not like obvious shit. And then had a couple like just missed throws to Saquon and Wan'Dale. But he got the ball out where it was supposed to be. And then when he didn't see it, he ran. And then when you pair that with the big boy throws like the Hodgins touchdown, the Wan'Dale end of the game throw. So when you pair that, not taking the sacks, creating plays with your legs, and then being able to operate some regular offense Well, you just put together a good game. And despite the fact that, I hate the Packers defense, but guess what? That's a fucking NFL defense that just did really good against Patrick Mahomes the week before. Yeah. So, like, you have to give him credit for this Packers game.
If Tommy DeVito can somehow go from a quarterback that took sacks at 5 times higher than the average rate, and that's not an exaggeration, it is 5 times higher than the average rate. I checked on that. If he could somehow go from a quarterback that took sacks 5 times higher than the average rate to, against Green Bay took 0 sacks, and he can go from you're going to get sacked, in a given game. It's not going to be 0 sacks.
But not creating sacks, basically.
Not creating an overt amount of sacks. That's an awesome turnaround within itself, along with all of the other, steps that he's making and, making those big throws, getting better in the quick game and stuff like that. It's, hey, the same thing that I'm saying about the Giants' playoff chances. Next Gen has them at like 4%. ESPN has them at like 2%. Or I think the New York Times and their simulation has them at 2%. Tommy DeVito is a really fun story until it's not. And the Giants' playoff run is relevant and it's a thing until it's not.
Yeah, but here's where I've gotten past fun stories. Like, he put together a good game of QB play. So if he goes out and puts together a couple more good games, like against Philly, right? Obviously as long as this doesn't like, what the fuck is going on out here? Like this is horrible bad. Like if it's just like, regular, just our team's nowhere near as talented as that team type of football. Like then he's really in play for backup QB. Obviously not next year because you have the Daniel Jones thing, unless they just flat out stick with DJ. But they've said they're not.
We have a question about that in a little bit too.
But he might play himself into where like you can't cut him on cutdown day. You got to keep him. You got to keep him as QB3 on the 53-man roster.
Right. I was having kind of like a conversation with somebody last week about Tommy DeVito. He may force the Giants' hands of literally keeping him on the roster as QB3 in kind of like a Davis Webb situation, because he will get money else. He already got more money to go to New England, and I think he got more money to go to Washington to be a practice squad quarterback. And he said no, he wanted to stay home, wanted to stay here, and it's worked out for him.
Yep.
He's earned it.
I had a moment where it's like, dude, Tommy DeVito preseason number 2 is going to be sick. I went and looked at my stat book of post-COVID 3-game preseason schedule stats. He's only like 5 yards away from being the Giants preseason passing leader.
We may go undefeated.
Oh, dude. That 2019 was so fun going undefeated in preseason. Kyle Lauletta to who for the game winner against the Patriots?
It was a tight end,
This one always escapes me, even though I know it.
It was a tight end, right?
No, it was a wide receiver.
It was a wide receiver. Not Coleman.
No,
this is a fourth.
I'm pretty sure
guy.
who it is. I'm going to look it up to make sure I'm right.
No, I don't know. It's a fourth.
I think it was Alonzo Russell.
Okay, that makes sense. He had a great preseason that year.
Yep, it was Alonzo Russell.
Yeah.
All right, Justin. Do we have anything? Let me see. I want to make sure I have everything in my notes.
No, he's earned the right to play. I mean, that's the, I think that's Curtis's the crux of his question. He's earned the right to play. And I'm glad that they stuck with him. I'm glad that they kind of maybe didn't go with us.
Biggest thing was not taking the sacks.
Yeah.
That's to me by far the biggest thing with him. All right,
Saints
next question.
A road game on the Saints will be another good test for that too. Tim at NYG Tim. One of the things you guys didn't talk about too much about was the final drive that DeVito led. How impressed were you guys with his footwork, accuracy, and the ability to read an ad?
Ooh, it's the season for giving and gathering. It's always the season for giving and gathering, right, Justin?
Right.
Maybe not always for gathering. It's not always, the year of Jubilee. You don't want to gather.
Bobby loves giving compliments.
Giving. I actually do love giving compliments. I don't want to gather compliments, but I'll give them. And with HelloFresh, it can also be the season of saving. Actually, save money this month with fresh recipes delivered cheaper than takeout, baby. And with pre-portioned ingredients, you'll never waste money on excess food, which is huge. Unless you have a bunch of unless you have a bunch of kids, like making the right amount of food is a challenge. And if you have a bunch of kids, give them a bunch of HelloFresh. After a full day of work, there's still so much to do. Some days it feels like eating a wholesome dinner is next to impossible. But with HelloFresh, you can turn busy weeknights into memorable mealtimes with delicious, practical options designed to save you time. Like their 15-minute meals. Spend your time this month shopping for gifts and sipping cocoa, not stuck in the checkout line. I hate going to the store, by the way. Sign up for HelloFresh. HelloFresh. I don't know why I'm saying hello like that. HelloFresh. HelloFresh. Hello, fresh meat, Justin meat fresh. HelloFresh, and get everything you need to whip up a fresh, tasty meal delivered to your door. You just got delivered to my door. Guess what? One of the things they sent me, Justin.
What?
Tommy cutlets, chicken cutlets.
No way.
Just choose your recipe, select a delivery date, and relax knowing dinner is on the way. Maybe Tommy DeVito will come with them. HelloFresh has over 45 recipes and more than 100 seasonal add-on items to choose from every week. So it's easier than ever to find something everyone will enjoy. So yeah, I've gotten the HelloFresh in the past. I just got some new today. It is truly like it's nice to get it quick. Nice meal, good portion control. Go to HelloFresh.com/worldfree. Not the free world, but world free. And use code WORLDFREE for free breakfast for life. Breakfast! One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/worldfree with code WORLDFREE and start using America's #1 meal kit today. Breakfast! Next question.
You'll be glad you did. Can you imagine Tommy DeVito just like pops out of the box being like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
He pops out of the box and he goes, breakfast. All right, next question.
He goes, I'm Italian. Did you know?
Breakfast.
No clue. I thought the first half of this question was actually like a good question. Do you have any like thoughts? Not even like Tommy DeVito, but like schematically out of the final drive? Because I'll tell you what, it's been like rare that we've seen, you know, the Giants offense, and this is across all these different coaching staffs, like operate a straight up passing 2-minute situation to go down there and kick a field goal, win a game, and shit like that. So do you have any like thoughts like schematically or even just whatever from that final drive?
Well, they took those first three throws were just quick throws because the Packers defense already like plays way too off, right? Like everybody, it would drive me fucking nuts if I was a Packers fan, and I know it does. Like I follow Marcus Whitman, the franchise guy. He's a Packers guy, and it drives him nuts. And so he's like, all right, let's just hit quick hitches and stuff, hit these quick throws, and then they kind of play up a little bit, and then Wan'Dale beats that guy. DeVito is reading that, throws it, bam, and then they run the ball until they get it. So it was only 4 plays, but the Wan'Dale explosive. They took advantage of the Wan'Dale explosive.
Yeah, what was that,
we'll talk about
play?
Wan'Dale. Yeah, we'll talk about Wan'Dale in a bit. So, next question.
Next question is coming from DeekFreak72 at JJDeekFreak72. I think from what we've seen from DeVito in the offense that we need to get this coaching staff a young quarterback to develop. Do you agree with this and that they need to go get a QB?
I do. No, I won't say need because again, you never force a need, right? So if you're not in a position where there's a QB you want, then you don't force that need. Also, it's kind of funny how the narrative has changed again on the coaches, where it's like this guy, he's an idiot, but they don't, fire this guy. And now it's like, hey, these guys can do miracles.
Which is why starting to heat up is important.
And now they're saviors again. Now we've always been pretty steadily like keep this coaching staff intact. And specifically, like, what they do with, like, the quarterback position in their offense. Here's the thing. I've been thinking about, like, what you said about, round 2 and round 3 and me maybe changing my philosophy on that. And I get that there have been guys like Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, Brock Purdy. But, man, the league is made up of top 10 QBs, right? And I know Dak's having a great year, but people have always looked at those guys as, like, the talent around them has built them up. Right, and I disagree, right? Like those guys are good, really good quarterbacks, but there is questions of like how good are they because of the talent around them. I want a QB who everyone thinks is great and not someone who you think that you can make look good or great, right? Like that's what I want, right? I want them to take a great prospect and make him great. Like I'm confident that they won't break any of these players like other Giants coaching staffs have done. That's what I want, and that's why I've never, whatever, tank, whatever. But here's what else. I hope that they are in a position to get someone like they would take with a top 3 pick. Where if they were just third in the draft, like they would like, okay, let's take this guy right here.
they obviously made a mistake with Daniel Jones, and I'm saying that with hindsight. I'm saying that with hindsight on my side. They obviously made a mistake with Daniel Jones, and the mistake that they made with Daniel Jones is giving him $160 million on the back of what was possibly not sustainable success, and the thing that they were going to ask him to do better this year was the thing that he flat out could not do, and that's one of the reasons why this season has been a flat out disaster, is that they asked him to get more explosive, they asked him to operate more of a modern offense, and Daniel Jones just could not do that this year. And that is on Joe Schoen and this regime on making that decision to invest in Daniel Jones like that after 1 year of what was a fun year, and I'm not saying last year was a fluke. I'm not saying
no,
that.
I hate when people say shit like that.
But what I want the Giants and Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll to do at the quarterback position this time around is to not push the envelope and to not invest in a quarterback because you feel like you need to invest in a quarterback, or draft a guy in the first round. Like you said, like if you draft a guy, if Jaden, let's just use Jaden Daniels as the hypothetical example. I haven't done any work on Jaden Daniels, but Jaden Daniels hypothetically does not go in the top 5, but we're picking 11th in the draft. Jaden Daniels falls to 11. I don't want the Giants picking a guy like Jaden Daniels at 11 because they feel like they need to. I want him again with you. I want him picking Daniels as 11 because they legitimately feel like they could take him. They like have him ranked as like, the 3rd player of the draft or the 4th player of the draft. That I want Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen to get somebody who they're willing to put their jobs on the line for. That's what I want. And they kind of accelerated it a little bit with Daniel Jones, and they did a good job of, we can kind of get out of this contract, even though a dead cap of 20-something million is going to hurt in 2025. But that's what I don't rush the QB move because you feel like you need to make a QB move. Because it's clear that they can hodgepodge this for a little bit with a guy like Tommy DeVito, even if they go out and sign a guy, a free agent like Gardner Minshew, Baker Mayfield, and I'm just throwing names out there. I'm not advocating for that. Even if they want to sign a guy because they feel like they can't draft one, or they do want to draft one in the 3rd round, you can sign one of those guys. He could start. Daniel Jones can rehab. They have options because I think even they can find a quarterback, and if they build him up enough, the Giants will be okay and not tankathon like they were earlier in the year.
Here's what I don't want them to do. I don't want them to take a Hendon Hooker guy type, though, right? Like, I don't want them to take, Stetson Bennett, who went in the 4th round. Like, I don't want those types of guys being drafted, though. Like, I know it's good in hindsight. You could say, take a guy like Jalen Hurts, who has, all the athletic ability, and he had accuracy issues, but obviously that improved.
I'm not saying this will happen, but
Jalen Hurts was a Heisman candidate that last year at Oklahoma. He wasn't the same player he was at Alabama. Dak was always very good at Mississippi State. Now Purdy would be the one where it's like it's hard to see that, but we all realize how good the San Fran situation is.
Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy. Let's just use those 3. Like you wouldn't.
I love Russ, by the way, too, but I was also. I think the difference
between those guys that we just talked about, I didn't watch Purdy in college, so I don't know if you can make he's mobile and he can move.
Purdy looked solid in college, right? But he wouldn't have been on that list pre-draft for me. Like no. I watched him because I watched a lot of Charlie Kohler, Breece Hall, and Hutchinson. But so I didn't do a thing on him. But he looked like he got the ball out. Like he played well.
I think the difference between those like Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, and you mentioned Stetson Bennett. You mentioned Hendon Hooker, so Hendon Hooker may be not fully part of this conversation. I think if the Giants were to take a quarterback day 2 or day 3, I think he would have to move. He would have to be able to move, whether it's in the pocket, outside of the pocket. Brian Daboll, Joe Schoen.
What about a guy like Will Levis?
They're not taking a guy that can't move. Again, late in the first,
he went in the 2nd round.
Yeah, I mean. Sure, if they view him as a 2nd round player and as a player like on their board, it's like this is a player that we can. This is the player that we have graded as a 2nd round player. or it's a player that we have graded higher than everyone else, then take him. Don't force it just because of the position.
Right. But here's where I want to plant my flag in, though, is that, like, if you tell me the two options, like, hey, you get a guy that you like in the second or third round, or it's like you can take a guy that you really like in top 5, I'm always like going for the top 5. The NFL is made up of those guys.
Right, but they're not going to have it. I unless they lose out, which they could. I don't think
they'll probably have a top. They'll probably have like the 5th or 6th pick.
What?
Do you? How many games do you see them winning out of their last 4?
I want to win all of them.
I know. Trust me, so do I. Like I want to beat the Saints.
I legit think that they can beat New Orleans this week.
Me too, but I don't think they're going to win the other 3 games.
No. I'm Delulu right now, so
yeah.
talk to me. I think in the off season.
Like the preview pod for the Saints game tomorrow is going to be talking about like winning that game, where the Eagles ones won't be like this. Like we'll talk about that team, but we're not going to give you the path to success, like this clear-cut path to success, because this is the way this team is.
I'm talking with the point of view that the Giants will not be in a position to grab a top quarterback. You're talking about the Giants may be in a position to grab a top quarterback this year in this year's draft, and you're advocating to take that top quarterback if they're there, which I agree with. But
I would be willing to trade up 2 slots if I needed to. Right?
Oh,
I'm not going to do the Bryce Young trade, but if
they want to trade up from then they trade up
to 3rd. Like what did Arizona trade for with the Texans for Will Anderson? Now I know it's a little different with the quarterback.
It was a little bit of a good haul for Arizona.
Well, yeah, because they got the guy they wanted and the pick.
They have a million first round picks.
Let's see, they traded the Texans dealt their first and third round picks. Obviously, let's just swap the first, so a 3rd round pick. Dropped down 9, and they dropped down 9 spots. Why can't you just look up Google what the fucking the picks were? Why do you have to, like, just? They all want me to click this damn article.
And that's an obvious move from the Houston Texans of D'Amico Ryans and the former Patriots guy. That's an obvious move from them that says, all right, well, we're putting our nuts on the table, and C.J. Stroud is our guy, and we're going to ride. Well,
they drafted C.J. Stroud with their slot, and they traded up for Will Anderson.
Right. So I mean, with them taking the quarterback, that's what I'm saying. With them taking the quarterback, that was an obvious move of, okay, this is the move that we're going to put our jobs on the line for this guy. And my whole point is that I don't want Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. Like I think it was clear in 2019 that Dave Gettleman needed to just draft a quarterback. He needed to draft a quarterback because I was out for blood. I was like, I need Eli out. I need somebody other than Eli Manning to be quarterback. But I don't want Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll to feel like they have to take a quarterback. I really feel like they can hodgepodge it for at least a certain period of time before fans will really start to get rambunctious about, all right, well, we just need a quarterback. We need a long-term quarterback. We need a long-term quarterback. Joe Schoen talked about patience over the bye week. Like he said, after making the playoffs last year and then signing Daniel Jones that money and giving a lot of money and extensions out to in-house people, Joe Schoen preached patience. And I think this will inevitably be part of that patience process. Now let's see if he sticks to his word.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, but I hope they don't get put in a situation where. Now, I don't think the owners will be like, you need to get a damn quarterback. We've talked about that, but we'll see. All right, next question.
Next question is coming from Jake Salazzoni at Jake Salazzoni. You think he's Jack Salazzoni at Jack Salazzoni. You think he's a pizza person?
He's a Tommy DeVito fan.
With Wan'Dale coming off of one of his biggest games of his career on Monday, do you see Dable and Kafka trying to get the ball to him more down the stretch this year?
Maybe a little more, but this coaching staff is not going to be like a force it to. I mean, we've seen Jalen Hyatt have big games. Like, all right, get him more involved. Yeah. And he has 2 catches the next game. That's just. I don't think any of these wide receivers are currently force it to type guys, anyways. But their coaching staff who's going to like use game plan and what the defense is doing to what they're doing. But here's what I want. I just use this question to talk about Wan'Dale. He would be second for me for most improved player award on the Giants this year right now. Right, and I won't give away who's first, but like, and I can make the argument for him. I can make the argument for Wan'Dale. Like, there has been like real improvement in Wan'Dale, even if the numbers don't show it. Like the route running in the quick game has gotten way more crisp and tight, right? Where like people just view like, oh, he's short, he's quick, like he's gonna be a good route runner. Like he wasn't a good route runner at Kentucky. He's grown a lot in those short type routes, and then the intermediate game, he used to like almost like jump stop into his breaks, right? Which again is just like good corners. They're gonna eat that shit alive. He's not doing that. And then you have like the transition to win that corner route that he had to end the game earlier in the game when Tommy DeVito missed him. Like those are silky smooth. He's using route cell with leverage. Like he's doing a lot of good things. And if you get a quarterback who's like looking to improvise and throw the ball down the field like on some broken plays, he can be used in that. And if he starts getting more respect down the field, it's going to make the quick game a lot easier for him. Like Wan'Dale to me it's been very impressive that he improved, and not just improved, but improved coming off of the torn ACL. Where that was the frustration. That's why it's like coming into this season, I wasn't very high on Wan'Dale at all, because like there still needs to be a lot that is improved from his game. But he was coming off a torn ACL, so he really didn't get the chance to do it. Well, he spent that time doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Dan Schneider even brought up I saw him tweet like Wan'Dale was used a little bit like Debo this past weekend. I think he had the one carry out of the backfield. I'm not ready to go that far, but I mean clearly this coaching staff has the confidence to use him in a variety of ways. And something that I thought was really impressive and something that I thought was fun, and like, oh, we want the Giants to be more of a modern offense, right? The majority of the Wan'Dale Robinson big plays that he had on Monday, what was he doing at the snap of the ball, Bobby?
Motion. I'm just going to guess that you're going to say
going in motion, and I love that. I absolutely love that. I think it gives it. I don't think the motion at the snap gave Wan'Dale Robinson like the advantage of being open on those plays that it was big on, but it helps out Tommy DeVito to read the defense. Are you in man? Are you in zone? Et cetera, et cetera. Even the run out of the backfield, it just adds another element to what this offense can do. And that was even a wild card. That was a wildcat look, which was fun too. So
they ran that versus Seattle, which is DJ at it for like a nice 9-10 yard gain too.
Yeah.
Did a breakdown on that.
Concept. I do want to see Wan'Dale involved more because now I feel like he can be an advantage. He has been getting open, and we talked about his open rate, his separation rate, whatever stat against single man coverage. Which, hey, what was that? The big 30-yard play, the final drive of the game, that looked to be single man coverage. He puts 25 on ice, with cutting back at the stem of the route, open right near the sideline. So I want to see Wan'Dale Robinson used more often, simply because he has been an advantage and he's been open in this offense. He's a little speed guy. He can get yards after the catch. I also want to see if he can handle taking hits. That's also a part of it for me too. Like there's been games where Wan'Dale showed up, Wan'Dale's here, and then he doesn't, kind of goes away for a little bit. I want to see in the NFL, can Wan'Dale Robinson take hits and stay healthy? A couple weeks on a run here. That's also what I want to see too.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been so impressed with Wan'Dale. Yeah. Again, he's up for most improved player on the Giants this year for me.
Blink twice if Kayvon's number one.
I only blinked once.
You only blinked once. Blinked once. I will say that I want to touch on the rest of the receivers too. I think Darius Slayton is having a good year. I think Jalen Hyatt is having a good year, and it's not from the stats standpoint, obviously, because the Giants aren't scoring points, but I think as wide receivers, we obviously don't have that alpha number one. I'm not looking at anybody in this wide receiver. I'm even going to throw Isaiah Hodgins in this, even though he is the odd man out this year. I'm not viewing anybody in this wide receiver room besides Paris Campbell and Sterling Shepard. So let's just use those three guys as the main example. Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, with Hodgins being fourth. I want all those guys on the roster next year. I view them as pieces. Obviously, Wan'Dale and Jalen Hyatt will be. Slayton can be with this contract, and I think Hodgins is under contract anyway next year. So all of them should be here, and I want them to contribute even next year. I see them as future pieces.
And if there's not a obvious wide receiver upgrade in the draft that you're going to get, even though I do think they're going to be in a position to do that and will, you can roll with these guys for another year, right? They are not hindering you from running a good offense. The wide receivers have literally been the least of the issues this year for the offense. So I'm happy with the wide receiver play on the Giants right now.
Sure.
All right, next question.
Nico Ryzen at Nico Ryzen. Here we go. Different language here. Pioi legere un agiantu unta. That probably means read an ad in a different language.
I'm going to assume that in Italian it means read an ad. Now, you may have said something horribly racist right there and you didn't know, but I'm going to assume that means read an ad. So why don't you read an ad?
Oh, I'll read an ad. I'll talk about something. Can you believe we're this deep into the NFL season? I can't. We got to make every second count, and with DraftKings, with the DraftKings Sportsbook, you can make the most out of every game day. Bet on your favorite teams for a shot at winning the big bucks. New customers can score 150 instantly in bonus bets for betting 5 on any matchup. Get in on the action with the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the app now and use code WORLD. New customers can score 150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on the NFL. Only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with code WORLD. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, must be 21 or older. Most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms. You'd be glad you did.
You'd be glad you did. Next question.
Giants future at future_Giants. Has Deonte Banks exceeded your expectations in his rookie season, or has he played how you would expect him to play?
Well, first, I want to bring this up because I want to talk through this because I just usually I want to tweet this, but I did. So I did a Bleacher Report video, and one of the concepts I wanted to do is I wanted to do like, you know what? I want to put together some categories for Giants players on the team, and I did it for basically like guys who are big money contracts, and then the draft picks who have been drafted in rounds 1 through 3, right? Like I don't need to fucking explain that like Darius Slayton and Jason Pinnock are good pieces, but they're not gonna get big money. Just kind of like put in there. So I put together 5 categories. One is running back, but great player, but also injured a lot. Saquon Barkley, he gets his own category because I don't feel like debating any of that with anybody. So I did proven building blocks, right? Like big money, worth big money. Andrew Thomas, Dexter Lawrence, Bobby Okereke. Basically like guys who should be paid at the top of their position, right? And then I did young players to like build with, which is basically like these are like, hey, in 2 years, I'm guaranteeing I want these guys on my team. Maybe not a guaranteed big contract, but I could see them being towards that. I did Kayvon Thibodeau. I don't think he's up in the first point yet. Like I wouldn't pay him like one of the best pass rushers in the NFL yet, right? He's got to be more consistent on a down and down basis. Even though I'm very happy. Right? Yeah, a lot of I think that he will get to that point though. Wan'Dale Robinson. Now again, I want to talk. The positions matter. Because like I put Jalen Hyatt on here, right? Has Jalen Hyatt proven to be some great receiver? No. But to me, he's proven a valuable player for the New York Giants.
But he's a young player to build with, which is the category that you have named here.
Well, no, because we'll talk about that. But to me, he's like a proven young player to build with. Like he has proven that he belongs to have a good role on this team, even if they add more talent. Xavier McKinney. Now, obviously, we can talk about whether we sign him or not, but he's one of those players. I put John Michael Schmitz. He could be in the to-be scene, but I really think he's going to be solid at least. I really do. Like I have a lot of faith in John Michael Schmitz. And then I put to be seen, and this is where people got a little mad at me. I put Cordell Flott, right? Flott could be a good player, but we could be wanting to move off of him and draft above him. And then Deonte Banks. And we can talk about and then I did move off of players who shouldn't stop you from adding. Daniel Jones, we've talked about that. Evan Neal. Again, I think Evan Neal is a starter at right tackle next year, but he's not stopping me from drafting someone if I truly think that guy's best.
I will be very mad if Evan Neal is the starter at right tackle next year.
I think he's going to be. Josh Azudu, obviously. Azeez Ojulari, that's the injury factor, right? You just can't rely on him. Matt Parrott, Aaron Robinson. Obviously, those are obvious. So Banks is the one. And here's the thing. I saw some of the arguments was, well, like if JMS are higher in the above category than Banks is, I disagree. I think the position matters so much, right? And to answer the question, I think he's been what I expected, right? He was better than what I thought he would be originally. And then, I don't think we can just throw away how much he struggled when he got wide receiver 1 duties, right? he has looked good, not great, since, kind of moving off of wide receiver one duties or playing wide receiver ones against two bad wide receiver cores in the Packers and Patriots, right? Like the Packers without Christian Watson are a certified bad receiving group. The Patriots may be the worst receiving group in the NFL. But again, I don't think we can just discount, he's playing against wide receiver ones. Garrett Wilson's the same age as him, and he cooked him, right? So quarterback is the hardest position in the NFL, which means looking like you belong is very good, right? And Deonte Banks absolutely looks like he belongs. I'm happy with his progression. I'm happy with his progression this season. But looking like you belong also does not graduate anywhere near into a really good player at the cornerback position or someone that you can build around. And he didn't look like he belonged versus wide receivers ones. And again, he was the same age as Garrett Wilson, who cooked him, right? And to me, the argument he's cornerback too. But I think if you're a young player that we're building with to be cornerback two, you have to be good enough to play cornerback one. Like Adoree Jackson is probably best as a cornerback two, but he's capable of being cornerback one, right? When we talk about building a really good team, like not judging it by the last 4 years of shitty rosters of Fabian Moreau and Corey Ballantyne, like these type of corners. Obviously, he's above those types of players, but building with them. And to me, his season has not been anywhere near to be a proven, when I say proven, I know for a fact I'm going to want these guys on my team starting in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's why he's in my to be seen. He's shown a lot. He's shown flashes, but he's also had flashes of really bad. So yeah, I'm happy with Deonte Banks' development, but I don't think we're anywhere near graduating into this guy's slam dunk really good player.
No. One of my main offseason priorities is find a CB1, and that's not a dismissal at Deonte Banks, not calling him a CB1.
You need two great corners in this league to me.
You do. I mean, you flat out do. When was the most fun secondary group was when we had James Bradbury and Adoree Jackson both, doing what they got to do in the secondary. That was really fun, and we talked about that. That group as being this could be a really big advantage. And you see some of these best teams, they have two corners that are capable of covering wide receiver ones. So that is a main priority for me this offseason. It's not a dismissal towards Deonte Banks, but it's clear that he's not ready to handle those duties. Cornerback, just because Adoree Jackson's moving along, we have Deonte Banks. All we need to do is find our CB2, whether we draft that guy or whether we sign in a free agency. No, I'm big game hunting for cornerback, specifically in free agency this offseason.
Yeah, I want to pair someone with Deonte Banks, right?
Yes.
And if you when the season ends, right? Let's say just the season ended right now and we're doing an off-season episode. Who do you think is going to be the most improved player? Deonte Banks would be my pick on that, right? As long as he's a hard worker, right? And we hope that they drafted someone that's a hard worker. There's been nothing that indicates that he's not a hard worker. He will be my pick for most improved player on the Giants, right? Because I do have big expectations for him. But he has to improve a lot to show he belongs as one of those guys. Because again, cornerback is a position to me where, again, has Jalen Hyatt proven that he's a really good wide receiver in the NFL? No, but I think he's always going to be valuable. He has proven that he's valuable, and when he's on the end of his contract, I'm probably going to want him re-signed on the Giants.
Yeah, because think of the expectations that you have for Jalen Hyatt to be the deep weapon, to be,
He's proven that.
He's proven that he can already do that. The expectations for Jalen Hyatt isn't to be wide receiver one, but you drafted Deonte Banks in the first round with the expectation that he can eventually be CB1, and literally in your words, it is to be seen whether Deonte Banks can be a number one corner in the NFL, and you could still have that opinion while still being happy with what he's done in his rookie year.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Basically when I'm looking at this, and JMS, maybe I broke my own rules with this a little bit, but I truly believe in JMS, and center is a position where I think slightly above average is fine, right?
Yeah.
Where Deonte Banks, where cornerback, I don't want my outside corner, my goal is not to be, I'm not happy with slightly above average. But basically, this is, if these guys were, looking for contracts with Jalen, I would be, find a way to re-sign Jalen Hyatt. Obviously not give him big money. If it was Deonte Banks, it'd be I'm okay if he walked. If he was playing at this level in year 4.
Right.
Right. That's basically what I'm looking at this right now. It's proven young guys to build with.
Yeah. Now, I will say, Deonte Banks would be the player if Wink Martindale leaves and they go from a man scheme to a zone scheme, I feel like Deonte Banks would be the player that would benefit the most from that.
I don't know, because he's got all the man coverage skills and he can be great in man coverage. I think he would benefit from like not being like picked on when he is facing wide receiver.
He's already good in zone coverage. So what I did recently.
He's better in zone than man right now. But what I'm saying is like he's like the goal for him, and he has all the ability to, when he is in man coverage on a wide receiver one, he's not being picked on.
What I did recently is
that's way more valuable than a zone corner.
I checked in on the man coverage stats and zone coverage stats on PFF because they divide the coverage scheme stats. A couple weeks ago, Deonte Banks was number 1 in the NFL in snaps against man coverage, snaps lining up in man coverage. He's not number 1 anymore. He's actually gone down to 9th. And Bobby, has that kind of, without you going on a long explanation, because I'm just asking this for clarification, within the last couple weeks, probably like the last month, Wink Martindale's played more zone? Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that it's reflected in these overall rankings where you have Stephon Gilmore and Deron Bland are number 1 and number 2. Benjamin St-Juste and Kendall Fuller are also in the top 10 together. So you see a lot of teammates together. There was a point where Deonte Banks and Adoree Jackson were up here in the top 10 snaps in man coverage, even though I think there was a point where Adoree Jackson was hurt this year. So, Deonte Banks, he's still top 10 in overall snaps against man coverage. So if I'm just looking at the group of corners that have a lot of snaps against man coverage, he's allowing one of the higher completion percentages of 60.5% completion percentage allowed against man. Some of these other guys are around 53.7, 50. Miles Bryant versus New England is 77.4, so better than that. Patrick Peterson, I'm glad Deonte Banks is playing better than Patrick Peterson. It's 62.5. So it's not awesome, but it's also not the best. The yards per reception is 14.3. And again, I'm just looking at the guys that are around him. There's a lot of guys that are averaging lower than that, and there are some guys that are averaging higher. But it's the numbers against zone coverage, where a lot of these man coverage corners, when they're playing in zone, Deonte Banks' numbers is just flat out better. Is just flat out better than a lot of these other corners that are also playing a lot of snaps against man coverage. So, like the completion percentage is lower, the yards per reception is a lot lower. He really is better right now in zone than man. But I also do trust in his skill set to play in man. I think you saw that, the pass deflection in the fourth quarter. That skill set he can play man coverage.
At the same time, like, that was a great play recovery by him, but it was a recovery. And if that's a better throw, that could be a touchdown. And we're talking about he gave up a game-winning touchdown, but it didn't. So I'm not going to do that revisionist bullshit. Every zone is just, you're not going to give up as many big plays. So I understand that, but you're judging him against like the other man corners. So there's like a lot of room to grow. But again, he's drafted to be a man corner. I wanted to see him continue to grow in man, but there's a lot of room to grow, right? And people will point at me. I don't use PFF grades. People are like, well, look at JMS's PFF grade.
Well, look at Deonte Banks' PFF grade.
Yeah, I mean, Banks is 111th of 127 cornerbacks. Like he's one spot behind Eli Apple. I don't use PFF grades, but that's when people point to me with PFF grades, I'm going to hit you back with that.
The comparison. And like what scares me always about drafting corners high is, well, look at the other Giants corners that have came out of the draft with DeAndre Baker and Eli Apple. Like I would say,
well, he's been better than those guys.
That's what I'm saying. Where it's like, hey, where the expectation because of my fan brain is that these corners are going to come in, be drafted in the first round, and be terrible. He has not been terrible, and I will even go as far to say, Deonte Banks is a plus for this defense. Just don't ask him to cover wide receiver ones consistently.
Yeah. Like if you ask, like, what's his best output versus a good receiver? It's probably DK Metcalf. And Metcalf scored a touchdown on him. And you've seen him give up plays to lesser players. It's not just wide receiver ones. But we'll finish with this. Like, I'm going to read this note. And I said earlier, like, cornerback is the hardest position in the NFL, which means looking like you belong is a very good thing. But it does not graduate anywhere near into a really good player. And he didn't look like he belonged versus wide receiver ones, including a guy at his same age like Garrett Wilson. All right, next question. We can go quick with this next question. It's a little kind of fun.
Next question is coming from Wes Locke. How would you rank the Giants rookie classes from 2020 to 2022.
He said 23, but we're going to cut out 23 because it's their rookie year.
Yeah. Based on their performance and impact on the current/future team. So
do you look back at 2020 as a good draft? Because I still do. Like, I look at if Dave Gettleman had a 2020 offseason every year, he'd be like the best GM in football. Like, free agency, trades, everything. That 2020 year was really good. And you have Andrew Thomas, who's the best pick since Odell. And if he shakes the injury bug, then he'll be a better pick than Odell. Xavier McKinney's an awesome second-round pick. Like, you screwed up the third and Parrott, but you got two players in Darnay and Crowder who started a lot of games for you. Obviously, again, not slam dunks, but they started games for you. And I think Crowder would look better next to a good linebacker like he did with Blake Martinez. We've seen how Mike McFadden, how that's changed his game. And then you get two core special teamers in Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin. I look at that as a good draft class. Not one of the best draft classes ever, but you look at the Giants' last 10 draft classes, that's probably number one. Now, Jerry Reese fucking sucked at the end of his run, but that's got to be number one.
It is number one. I literally went back to 2014. Even 2013, 2014 had Pugh. 2013 had Jonathan Hankins, Justin Pugh, but nobody else from that draft class. DeMontre Moore just kept getting arrested. So 2013 is a good draft class because you get two starters. Sure. Yeah. 2020 by far, because you have 1, 2. Matt Parrott's not part of this team. Darnay Holmes can Darnay Holmes can stay on this team. He can get a second contract. I'm fine with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got 5 guys that are still on the team right now. I don't even know if I counted Matt Parrott. And then Tay Crowder, who is a successful draft pick.
Technically, more, because Shane Lemieux is technically still in the roster.
Shane Lemieux still. He's done.
He's survived because he keeps on going on IR, and he's somehow survived cut day this year.
He's done. So I'm counting him as that is unfortunately a failed draft pick. But yeah, 2020 is the best 100%.
The next would be 2022. Kayvon and Wan'Dale, who are both good ascending players. You have a solid player in Daniel Bellinger. Micah McFadden, who looks really good despite he's kind of coming off the field on every third down and long now.
I'm willing to back off my take of. I said, if any of the 2022 draft picks, if their contracts were up tomorrow, would you re-sign any of them? And I got a lot of flack and hate on Twitter. Well, guess what? They've started to look better. So I'm backing off that take. But
Neil being a bust stops it from being a really good draft class. Like, if Kayvon and Wan'Dale ascend to what we can look back and be like, hey, we got better out of this draft class, right? You get a Bellinger, you get a McFadden.
Neil being
a bust makes it If again, Neil can still improve. I don't think Neil's ever going to improve into a top 10 pick level player. But if he can get to a solid player, it makes it look like a lot better draft. But I don't think it'll go down as one of like this. Look at this draft class back at it. Having
5 picks in the top 100 and hitting on 2, you would have liked to really hit on one more.
We'll see what happens with Flott. Azudu, obviously, he's in the same conversation as Matt Parrott. And then 2021 is just an all-time disaster. Tony, the one good player is so injury-prone in Azeez Ojulari. You traded up for Aaron Robinson, who hasn't been on the field since it feels like Joe Judge was the head coach. And then Ellerson Smith, I hated that pick. Gary Brightwell hated that pick. And then I liked the Rodarius pick, but he was a 25-year-old corner, too. Yeah, pretty simple.
Still love this year's draft class.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was... I love. Now, I didn't get my Andrew Thomas out of this class, but the Giants weren't picking 4th overall.
No,
like I am still excited for this most recent. I'm really excited about this draft class. Right, you get Banks. We just talked about JMS. Hyatt. Have a lot of hope and faith in those guys. Now you didn't get a 4th round pick. We'll see what Eric Gray, but like I'm still excited to once Javarius Owens gets to see the field, what he can do. Trey Hawkins. I know it's been a weird rookie situation, but there's still there can be a good player in that body. So yeah, who was the other pick?
Jordan Riley.
But was there anyone else? No, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's it.
So, but I'm excited. I can't wait to see what I'm excited to look back at this draft class. I I really think we can look back at it with a lot of favor. That's if Banks becomes great, JMS becomes what I expect JMS to become, and then Hyatt developing and playing with a different quarterback.
Yeah, I mean the fun thing about this draft class is that you can easily see the top 3 picks becoming like starters, like good starters. They already are starters, but like really good starters. And then there's 4 guys left. I could see Eric Ray making it through his rookie contract. I could see all those 4 of those guys making it through their rookie contracts, and I think that would maybe Javarius Owens doesn't because of a numbers game. Because of a numbers game, I want him to, but I could easily see all 4 of those guys making it through their rookie contracts. And if you're talking about day 3 players, if they make it through their rookie contracts, I even think that's a success.
Yep. All right, next question.
Next question, Bobby, get ready, because Angry Yodel is asking, what if Benton Whitley wants Bobby or Justin to read an ad before the next question?
He would probably pick me, right?
Oh, like if he wants Bobby or Justin, yeah, he would definitely pick you.
Today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events every single day on SeatGeek, including sports, concerts, festivals, and more. Go check it out for bowl games. Like bowl games, you can find some good deals. I'm planning on attending the Pop-Tarts Bowl, formerly known as the Cheez-It Bowl. Cheez-Its. Stop putting orange soda in our mouths. They always want to make sure that you are getting a good deal. So when you're on the app, look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. And I'm going to get to an Orlando Magic game eventually. Cranky's was talking. He texted me about going Friday to the Knicks game. But I don't know if I want to go to a Knicks game, right? It's a Knicks. And to be blunt, I know we're in the middle of SeatGeek ad. They're going to find you the best deal for that game, but the Knicks are a big draw because there's a lot of New Yorkers here in Florida. The Magic are good, too, by the way. Every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps, which, again, is a true game changer. What other place gives you swaps? We've got the hookup. Use code GIANTS for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code GIANTS. Click the link in the description to download the app. You'll be glad you did. Last question.
Tommy DeVito's dad is running ads for his plumbing business on WFAN. Do you want to listen to it?
Yeah, I absolutely want to. We'll give him a free ad.
Do you want to? Do you know Nikki Cass? Hi, I'm Michael Belafonte, but my neighbors call me Mikey B. Call 1-800-FIX-MY-GUTTERS.
I don't know that, but it sounds funny.
Peerless blower. I've installed Peerless blowers throughout my career, and they're the best choice for all your heating needs. Take it from me, Tom DeVito of DeVito Plumbing, to visit PeerlessBlowers.com for a dealer near you. Remember, Peerless Blowers, the world's best built blowers. People ask me all the time, are Peerless blowers really the best? My answer, forget about it.
That is exactly the Nikki Cass skit, by the way.
I gotta see this Nikki Cass skit. That's great.
I'm gonna find it right now.
Dude, we gotta get Tommy DeVito's dad to do some plumbing at our house. Or your house.
Sure.
Do it. Just call him. Just be like, oops, it's... You just call him and you take the picture like looking out your window, but like, what the fuck, Tommy DeVito's dad is at my door.
Side of your house and see him.
All right, hold on.
Are you tired of looking at the side of your house and seeing mildew? Or your gut is just not working properly no matter what you do? Hi, I'm Michael Belafonte, but my friends call me Mikey B. My family and I have been serving this community for the last 42 years, cleaning your gutters and power washing the sides of your houses. Here at Belafonte Power Washers and Gutters, we understand how important it is to have a clean-looking house. Besides your family, your house is one of the most important things that you got. Call 1-800-FIX-MY-GUTTERS and get started today. And remember, if your gutters are wonky, call Belafonte.
I mean, Tommy DeVito's father just had a similar last line that was corny.
What was Tommy DeVito's father's last line?
The last line was...
Peerless blower. I've installed Peerless blowers, really the best. My answer, forget about it.
Forget about it. That was great. That made me laugh. I don't know if it's made... You're not laughing. You don't get it. I
had to hear it originally.
You're not from around here. All right?
No, it got built up as something. I get it. It's just, it's like if I just heard that like originally, I would have laughed.
Call 1-800-FIX-MY-GUTTERS.
Yeah,
if your gutters are wonky, call Belafonte. Forget about it. Does Bobby still watch Trailer Park Boys? Crabtree wants to know.
I haven't watched it in a long time. You know what show? Have you ever heard, like, do you know Eastbound and Down?
Eastbound and no.
With Danny McBride, Kenny Powers?
No. Danny McBride's funny, though.
Yeah, do you know the Kenny Powers, like, at least the character?
Yeah.
Man, I haven't watched that since college, and I've been rewatching it. Just like kind of like I put it on when I'm eating lunch or something, or when I don't, like, at the end of the day. That show's so fucking dumb.
Any relation to Austin?
No. It's basically a parody of, you know, John Rocker is, the old Braves pitcher.
Sure.
It's basically, yeah, you don't. I knew you. I don't blame you too much for that one. It's basically a parody of John Rocker, and it's just like ridiculously. It's just such a stupid show. Where it's like, I don't even know if I can justify watching this show, how stupid it is, but it is funny. Like, there's a great line, like, when Stevie Janowski, he's like, no offense, but I thought your baby'd be a lot cooler. And I was like, I wanted to send that to my brother who
recently had a baby. Yeah.
But he's kind of, like, boring. All right, that's the end of the podcast.
That's an interview.
We'll, I just wanted to talk about Kenny Powers for a couple minutes. We'll be back tomorrow with a Saints preview. Remember the last time we went down to New Orleans, Justin? How fun that game was?
That was the funnest part of 2021.
Absolutely. So we're going to make some more memories and have some more fun. So we appreciate you guys. We will see you tomorrow. Until then, let's go Big Blue.